Welcome back to Pecan Ranch. Today is pig moving day. These big pigs here are going to get to move on to fresh pasture. They have done a pretty decent job of foraging what they could out here in this front pasture. There's still some nuts and pecans and stuff left out here, but we'll be moving the little pigs out of the chicken pen so that they stop terrorizing the chickens. And these big pigs are going to move out to the first paddock in the back pasture. First things first, probably the most valuable tool in moving any animals is a little bit of motivation. So I'm going to grab myself a bucket and get some sweet feed here. Now that I've got my motivation for the pigs, we'll see you folks here in a minute back at the back gate of the front pasture. See you folks in a bit. All right, so here we are back at our back gate, and remember I have mentioned the importance of having a physical gate so that way we can convince them to come through that electric wire. First things first, real quick, before I open up this gate, I need to energize my trail. So this is our pathway into that first paddock, and what I've done here is this electric rope here is not energized all the time, and I've done that because it's only used as we're transitioning through here, and it's in the woods, so I don't want it tied into my front pasture, and if a tree branch falls down and it grounds out, take out my entire electric fence on the front pasture. So the way that I have it done here is this poly rope is not tied into it at all times, and then we just have this electric fence handle here, and I can just take it and clip it on right there, and now it's energized. I want to check it, make sure we've got a spark. Oop, and we do. We've got ourselves a little bit of a spark there. And then on this side, similar situation. I just stretch it over here, clip it into place, and verify that we've got spark, and we sure do. So now we're hot through here, and I'm going to lead them through on foot because they seem to get a little rambunctious around the mule, and I don't want them getting too distracted and sidetracked and end up running off into the woods and me having to chase pigs. They're having a grand old time here with this vine. Hey, Wilbur. Wilbur. All right, so I'm gonna grab myself our feed bucket, our motivator. Hey piggies, hey piggies. We want to check out a new place. Come on piggies. Oh, squealing pigs. Are you pigs ready? Ready for some fresh pasture? Come on pigs. Come on pigs. Come on. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Come on, pigs. Hey, everybody. Come on. That's everybody. Come on. Let's go. Come on. All right, piggies. Just kind of lead them through here. And everybody seems to be following in an orderly fashion. And before I came out here, I already went to the back pasture, turned on the fence energizer so that way we'd have a hot wire, especially them getting into a new place. I want them to immediately respect that wire. Oh, you're excited. Oh, you're excited. You're getting ahead of yourself. Come on, check it out. Look at all this space. All this space. All right, so first I want to lead them over to their feed bucket, their feeder, so they know where it's at, especially considering this is the first time that they will be using this feeder that I just built. So I want them to be aware of that, where it's at, and that it means food. All right, piggies. All right, check it out. So I'm going to, they probably are going to figure this thing out pretty quickly, but I'm going to get a scoop or two of some sweet feed. Here we go. Check it out. Check it out. Look at that. All right. So this is that pig feeder in action. And let me make sure that they know that there's feed on both sides here. Hey, check it out over here. On this side too. Come on, over here. Check it out. There is feed on both sides. Hey, piggies. Come on. Come on around here. Around here. Look. There's feed in here too. Well, not all of you share. Well, they're figuring it out. They'll get it sorted out soon enough, but so this is my solution that I had mentioned before. I just put that roofing panels over top, and I actually use baling twine for now. But it looks like they've kind of got it figured out. They can fit more at the feeder at a time, except this little girl right here getting all up in there. So like I said in the instructional video, if you haven't watched that, go back and take a look at the building of this pig feeder, this DIY pig feeder. But these rails here, you can make these slots smaller so that way they can't fit in as far. But I didn't want to make it too small and end up having to cut some out later. And I'm not too concerned with them getting too far climbed up in there, and they'll get bigger and eventually won't be able to get into it. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to kind of keep an eye on them for a little while out here. Since this is their first time out on the big back pasture, I want them to kind of be sure that they I want to be sure that they're going to be safe back here, secure back here, and they're not going to test any fence or anything like that. I think they've already seen the wire. They saw it through the trail. They saw it out here, and so I think that they'll they should be pretty well tuned into that. Another thing I want to do is I would like to get their attention and show them where the water is so that they know where their water is, so they don't go looking for it elsewhere. Hey pigs, hey pigs, hey pigs, come check it out. If a couple of them know where the water's at, then the rest of them will figure it out soon enough. But hey, check it out. Look, we got water right here. You want to check out your water? No, not the mud, which I know you're super fond of, but look at that. There you go. So see, they see where the water's at. They're going to come up, take a drink out of the pond, and hopefully they're not going to mess this area up too much. If it becomes too much of an issue, we'll figure out another solution for the water. But as you can see, they're pretty well respecting that hot wire. As long as this thing stays hot and stays charged, then we should be all good. I can see them walking along, looking at it, and they're going to be investigating it and all that stuff. And so we just want to keep an eye out them. So now they know where their food is, they know where the water is, and they'll be making their rounds, kind of figuring out how far out they can go. And I'll probably walk around with them just to ensure that they kind of see the perimeter of their area and know what know their boundaries, so that way they know this area, and I don't have to worry about them with their nose down, not paying attention, walk into a wire and go through it. But this wire is particularly hot. It's charging less fence than the front pasture, so it's about twice as hot, puts out about twice the voltage as the one up there, so it's a good shock. And they are having a grand old time out here, and they've only barely just scratched the surface of the acre and a half that they get. They haven't even checked out the wooded area yet, so I'll walk them around and let them take a look at everything, and then we'll head back up to the front and we'll let the little pigs graduate out of the chicken pen. Now that they don't have these bigger pigs here to pick on them, they'll have their own little space to root around out there, and they'll put less pressure on that pasture than these pigs will. because they're just smaller and there's less of them. And so that pasture will be good for another probably a month or so. And this one still probably won't be completely used up. So those, once they're about a month older, they'll be big enough to start contending with these pigs, and we'll get to move them up here. So I want to show them kind of their boundaries so that they're aware, and they're discovering these boundaries with me out here present. And I also want them to know that they can get into these woods, which I think they'll have the most, they'll spend a lot of their time and have the biggest blast. I want them to see where kind of their boundaries are. And so first thing they do, they run out and then they glance at that wire. And so they know where they can go and how far they can get into. They're immediately going forehead deep into this dirt. What we're standing in right now is a whole bunch of oak trees, so there's probably a ton of acorns buried in here. And I'm really wanting them to get in here, disturb this soil, clean this area up for me a little bit, and we're gonna reclaim a little bit more pasture land from what once was some pretty dense weeds and briars. And so they are loving this grass because it's been a little while since they've seen a lot of grass. Been a couple weeks since they basically ate all the grass in that front pasture, and we're just kind of down to foraging for nuts and stuff. And so they see this green and they're having a grand old time eating themselves some salads, and then they move on over to nuts. And we know that they know where their food is, and we kind of know that they're aware of their boundaries. I just wanted them to, I wanted to see them see the wire, so that way I knew that they knew where it was back here in the woods, so that way they didn't go running off and getting out somewhere. There's Big Mama over there. She's looking at us through the woods. We're just across the creek from her. Hey, Big Mama, how are you? How are you, Big Mama? Hey, girl, how are you? What's up, Charlie? So pigs are pretty well settled in up here. We're gonna sit out here for a little while, keep an eye on them, watch them kind of roam around and have some fun back here, and then we'll move on up to the front pasture, get those little pigs moved out and get them settled into their new space. And hopefully I'm hoping that we should be able to get almost one full rotation around all of our paddocks up here before the spring starts really setting in. I want to get at least half of this tilled up by the pigs before the springtime and everything starts growing, so that way we can get this good soil disturbance and some fertilizer spread out here, so that way we can hopefully grow this pasture back a good bit healthier than it was last year and the previous years, and basically all the years that this pasture has been neglected for quite some time. So so they're acquainted with everything. We'll see you folks in a little bit back up at the front pasture. So real quick before we go up to the front pasture and we get the little pigs moved out of the chicken pen, I want to talk to you a little bit about the benefits of rotational grazing. So you may ask the question, why not just turn them loose on the whole pasture? And there's a couple of reasons for that, and it varies by operation. There's questions you have to ask yourself is, one, do you have the space for continuous grazing? And in our case, we do. That is true. However, and realistically for me, infrastructure cost wouldn't be that much more, because I already have enough post and electric wire to basically get half of this back pasture done. So I'd really only have to buy, twice as much as I already have to get it all ran, and I could run it all on one fence charger. That is possible. But the benefit of practicing rotational grazing is you can actually increase your stocking rate, and your stocking rate is how many head of livestock per acre, right? And the reason you can increase your stocking rate is because they're not continuously grazing it all the way down. They will graze it, you move them to the next paddock, and by the time they rotate back to that first one, it'll have time to rest and recover. So that's one benefit, the major benefit, but also pasture management is the biggest benefit, because you can basically increase the productivity of your pasture, the nutritional value that your pasture has, by practicing some smart rotational grazing tactics. For instance, this grass right here is about kind of the almost perfect height. If it were a little bit taller, and obviously we're in the winter time, so this stuff is a little bit shorter and thinner, but if it were about yay high, that would be when it's going to be some of the most nutritional, some of the most nutritional value. It gets too tall and it becomes more fibrous when it starts to seed, and it becomes more like straw and it doesn't have as much nutritional value. When it gets too low, then it's never getting to that optimum point. So you can manage your pasture in form of rotational grazing, and that can vary how much time you spend on each pasture, depending upon how much livestock, what type of livestock you're grazing, and your pasture growth, and what the weather has been like, how much rainfall you're getting. So this allows you, by doing rotational grazing, this allows you to take some of those variables and control them a little bit better and manage them in a more meticulous manner. So instead of setting them all loose on the 6.5 acres or so of grazable pasture land back here, I'm doing it in 1.5 acre paddocks, so I can monitor the specific amount of grazing that's being done on each paddock, and then move them to allow that particular paddock to rest and continue to do so in a more meticulous manner, versus setting them loose. You can't really control where they're grazing. Not only that, but you may also not have enough livestock for the entire area if you want to focus your grazing efforts on a specific area. So let's say of my 5 paddocks that I have back here, of the 5 areas that I've kind of pre-sectioned off, they haven't been physically sectioned off yet because we only will ever have 2 paddocks up at a time. But of the 5 paddocks that I have out here, let's say for instance paddock 1 is doing kind of poorly, then we can skip it and allow it to rest just a little bit longer. Or let's say there's another paddock that's doing even better, and we don't need to let it rest as long. We can move them to that. In certain areas, especially in this particular instance where I have a variety of terrains on my pasture, and also kind of a variety of soil types. So because of that, my pasture grasses are going to grow differently. And what I can do with rotational grazing is I can manage it more individually in certain areas and focus on an area that I want to. For instance, if I wanted them to put all of their pressure on this wooded area alone, I would, instead of creating this size of a paddock with this open pasture land, I would just fence off just these woods, this wooded area, and they focus hard on this. And so you can do some more intense, you can put more intense pressure where you need it if you need to. So it allows you to more surgically graze your pasture land, and I highly recommend rotational grazing versus just free range continuous grazing on pastures. Now, obviously it requires more work, more time, and more effort. And but the beauty of rotational grazing is, realistically, you can, if you manage it correctly, then you can manage how much time you're going to have to put into it. So say we had 5 head of cattle back here, and I wanted to move them every single day. You could, and that is possible. I would suggest that you have all your paddocks set up so that way you're not constantly having to take down and put up new paddocks. But you could, and depend upon your pasture and the location and your operation, daily moves may be the most beneficial and the best for you. What's up, Piggy? How you doing? Finding them acorns? So, so you could consider you can move them every day. You can move them on a weekly basis. You can move them on a monthly basis, and you can kind of tailor your rotational grazing patterns to your specific needs. Versus continual grazing. Again, you have less control over it. The animals may find that they like a specific area a little bit better. Oh, what's up, girl? Did you get separated? Oh no. All right. You may find that there's that your animals like to congregate in a specific area, and it's causing too much pressure in a specific area, and it becomes hard to manage that if you just have them open to completely free range continuous grazing. So that's kind of a little bit of a tidbit of information on rotational grazing. If you'd like to have any more information on or have any questions about it, hit me up in the comment section below, and we'll talk about that. Probably more specifically on one whole video, because there's a lot of information to cover on rotational grazing. So today, there's a lot of new stuff going on today. I'd like to introduce you folks to our latest addition to the farm, Honey. Hey Honey, how are you? So she's our livestock guardian dog.
Raised around pigs.
She was raised around pigs, but she's kind of afraid of our pigs right now. She's still little. She's only 4 months old. She's an Anatolian Shepherd, and is she mixed?
Yeah, Great Pyrenees.
With Great Pyrenees. Anatolian and Great Pyrenees mix. She looks a whole lot more, she looks mostly like Anatolian. That's where most of her, that's what a lot of her qualities look like. So they're phenomenal livestock guardian dogs, and when she gets bigger, she's gonna reside out here with the pigs to protect them, because these pigs being out here on the back pasture puts them further away from my house, and I can't monitor them as much as I would like to. I can't keep as close of an eye on them as she'd be able to. So she would be staying out here with the pigs. What are you whining for?
She's the car.
What is it, girl?
She wants it up.
So right now she's kind of a big chicken, but she'll get bigger, and she'll get up to, she should be getting up to about like above 100 pounds. So she'll be a big dog. And we have our other dog, Ruger, and he is a Border Collie Golden Retriever mix. And we discovered we kind of had the intentions of him being somewhat of a farm dog, maybe a livestock guardian of sorts, but he didn't get as big as I thought he would be, and he's not fluffy enough. So when it's cold out here in these winter days, he shivers outside. She's big, she'll be huge and fluffy, so she'll be able to withstand the more extreme winter temperatures a whole lot better than Ruger would be able to. Ruger has kind of shifted to more of his primary function is going to be as a hunting dog, and not so much so a farm dog as much as she will be. So you'll see her on occasion. I'm going to start trying to incorporate her into my daily chores and have her come out with me more frequently, so she can get around the animals and be less afraid of them. A scaredy cat.
The big old cat after me.
What are you afraid of? So now we're back up at the front pasture, and what we're probably going to do, honestly, is we're going to take these smaller pigs here, the 4 little ones, and I'm going to move them straight over to the pen, and we'll probably keep them in the pen for a little bit before turning them loose on the pasture. They've been in there before, but only spent one night, and so I want them to get acquainted with that, and I want them to think that that is their home base. That's where their home is. And Kevin, why do you have to make eye contact with me when you pee? He just okay. You looking away now? What? Anyhow, so we're gonna move them over to this pen, probably close them up in this pen for a little while, get them reacquainted with this area, and let them know that that is home base. That's where they stay, so that way when we let them back out loose in this pasture, this is where they'll come every night, and they're not going to think that they need to get back in there and not be able to figure that out. So grab my pig motivator and see if I can get these 4 little guys to follow me on over to the pig pen. Haas and Kevin, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. He's not so sure. Oh, he stepped on out. Come on, Haas.
Here, pig.
No, this way. Keep coming this. They have zero motivation to come over here. They don't even care. Look, come on out. Let's go, piggies. I'm gonna try and get them out here. What? Don't scratch Oreo. You are the itchiest pig that ever there was. Why are you always having to itch yourself? Come on, Oreo. Come on. Yeah, it's okay. We come. They're cautiously venturing out, and Kevin, poor Kevin.
Jesse, get back in there.
Jesse, go. Jesse, back up. You're a special chicken. Come on, Kevin, this way. Come on, Kevin. Come on.
Just do 2 at a time.
I guess we'll do 2 at a time, since Kevin's being a little bit slow. Hey, come on, Haas. Come on, piggies. Come on, piggies. Let's go.
Honey.
Oh, Kevin, or Haas.
Back in there.
You ever heard the term herding cats? Whoever thought that was difficult, you should try herding piglets. So I'm gonna push them since they don't want to follow the bucket.
Come on.
Let's go.
Come on.
Let's turn around.
Penelope, come on. Here, pig. Come on, here, pig. Here, pig.
All right, there we go. I guess I've got 1 at a time. Come on, Oreo. Keep it moving. Keep moving along. Keep it moving. Keep on going. There you go, Oreo. That's your spot. There we go. All right, Oreo is in. Let's go find Haas. I could probably just leave that gate open because they're not very adventurous for some reason. Come on, Haas.
Going back to the tree.
Haas, let's go.
Maybe they'll leave me now.
He's gonna
Oh,
run
no,
back
the gate's
home.
open.
See,
Nope.
this is why I want to get them over here, because they think over there is their home base. Come on, Oreo. Come on, Oreo. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Oreo likes it over here. All right, let's get the other 3 over here, I guess. 1 pig at a time. Come on, Haas. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Nope, wrong way. Nope. Sees that Alicia has another pig. Oh, you're a quick little pig. Last one. Penelope Pig is just distraught because her siblings are all over there, but not her. Come on, Penelope Pig. Come on, Penelope Pig. Come on, girl, it's okay. Come on. Come on, come on, girl. Come on, Penelope Pig. Come on. Let's go. Get along. Get along. Gate.
Pull those over. Come on. Penelope, come on. Come on, honey. Come on.
Oh,
Come here, honey.
my livestock guardian dog is getting in the way. You're just being a roadblock. You're a cute roadblock, though.
All right, we got him.
All right, we got them in. I'm gonna give them a quick treat so that way they know where the food bucket is, although they should know where it's at.
No care in the world.
And they're gonna hang out here for a little bit so that they know this is their home base. So, hey, pig. All right, Kevin. All right, they're gonna play around on the straw for a little while. I want them to hang out here locked up for, probably at least a couple days. So that way they now associate this as their home instead of the chicken coop as their home. And then they'll get to turn loose out here in the front pasture. So, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you have any suggestions for any videos in the future, drop a comment below. Subscribe so you don't miss anything. We hope that you all got something of value out of this. Learned a little bit about rotational grazing and got to see us chase some little piglets around. So until the next time, we hope to see you all back at the ranch.